In this video, I want to show you how to plot or print your drawing. You'll hear those two terms interchangeably. Back in old days, the initial days of CAD, we had, when we wanted to print on large sheets of paper, we had to use what was called a plotter. Now, pretty much the same technology is used no matter what the size of the paper might be. So print has kind of taken over. So we're going to talk about printing right now. When we draw, we draw our create our drawing basically on the model tab down here, and these layouts that are shown to us down at the bottom, those are what we use to plot our drawing or to lay out the plot of our drawing. What I'm going to do is pick a layout tab to make it active, and we're kind of thrown into this sheet of paper, and that's actually what we're looking at. We're looking at this sheet of paper and how our drawing right now is laid out on that sheet of paper. I'm going to go back to the model tab, and I want to explain to you that I drew a 20-inch by 20-inch box on here, and now we want to plot this out or print this out on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. If I go to my layout tab, like we have done already, there's my sheet of paper. Now, how do we change what size sheet of paper if this was the wrong size sheet of paper, or if we wanted to print out on a different size sheet of paper? Why am I not seeing the whole drawing? What are these different rectangles that are on here? That's what we're going to walk through. First thing I'm going to do is actually go into the print command. No, before I even do that, what I'm going to do is talk about these rectangles, okay, on this sheet of paper, and then we'll talk about changing the sheet of paper in a little bit. With the printer that we happen to be connected to right now, this is the printable area. That's what that dotted line is. So it doesn't make any sense to draw outside or set up, visible objects outside of there, because they're not going to print. We can't print any closer to the edge of the paper than that dotted gray line rectangle. This next innermost rectangle here, this cyan colored object, is what we call a viewport. Think of it as a cutout in the sheet of paper that lets us see model space kind of hiding in the background. Whoops, I kind of dragged over that. Kind of hiding in the background. Model space is hiding in the background. It's letting us see a portion of that. To get this, let's say, so that we can see the whole rectangle, the whole square that we drew visible on our sheet of paper, we have to switch back and forth between paper space and model space. Right now, I am in paper space, not because I can see this sheet of paper, but because, see how my crosshairs is active even out here, not just in here? I'm active all over the place. This is paper space. The model tab, we only have access to model space. That's the only thing that we can ever access. When we are on a layout tab, we can access paper space, or if we get inside the viewport, we can get into model space. To determine whether you're in model space or paper space, a couple of different clues. One, down here on the status bar, it tells you what space you're in. If I go to model tab, yep, I'm only in model space. That's all I can access. Okay. If I go back here to a layout tab, I can have access to both spaces. I'm in paper space right now. If I pick the word paper, it'll switch to model. And if we kind of think about that, all of these things down here are toggles. If we pick it, we change its state. If we pick it when it's blue, it turns to gray. When it's blue, it's on. When it's gray, it's off. Here, if we pick model, it'll change to paper, and it just switches to the other space. And now notice that that rectangle got a little bit darker. Notice that I don't have my crosshairs outside here anymore. When I go in here, that's where my crosshairs are. Now, even though I'm on a layout tab, I am in Paperspace. And now what I want to do is use my zooming tool, my wheel, to just kind of zoom until I can see my 20 by 20 square that I drew. There we go. Now it'll fit on here. Now we have a couple of things to address. One, the next thing I'm going to do is get out of model space. We rarely work in model space other than getting our object or our drawing visible on the sheet of paper or visible inside of the viewport. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to pick model to switch back to Paperspace. And now I'm back into Paperspace. Now, what I want you to understand is that this viewport object is just like a line, arc, or circle. It's something that can be drawn. I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm going to leave it alone. Just realize that when you start up a drawing in AutoCAD, you're going to have a couple of layout tabs. And when you make one of those layout tabs active, a viewport gets placed in it. But that viewport is on a layer. You can see when I'm hovering over this that it says layer hidden. I can't move my mouse and point at it because as soon as I move it, I lose that little window that's there. But it's on the hidden layer. Because when I was messing around with this before I started creating the video, I happened to have been on the hidden layer when I made the viewport, or when I made the layout active for the very first time. That's when the viewport gets created, and it gets created on whatever layer is current. So the first thing that you want to do is in your layout, or excuse me, your layer properties, is you probably want to create a new layer just for viewports. Okay? And what most companies do is make that a gray color. Okay? Just so it's there, we'll make it a nice light gray so we can hardly see it. And we'll say OK. And we'll leave it alone. Well, we'll leave it alone except for one more thing. Another property that we can apply to a layer. We talked about on and off and freeze and thaw and locking and unlocking and applying colors and line types and line weights. Right here, this column here, I'm going to yank this over a little bit so we can see it. That's a plotting column. That layer is set to be plotted. You know what? I really don't want that edge showing up on there. So I'm going to pick the plotter, and it's going to put that little red, no symbol on there. And now that layer is not going to plot at all. And I'm going to pick this and use quick properties to put this onto the viewports layer. And now that's where it is. And then I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, okay, just to be closer. Don't yank it out any further than the edge of the printable area, because we can't see it anyway, okay? We won't be able to see anything outside that. Another thing that you will want to do, I'm going to hit escape to let go of that object, is you're going to want to draw your border on the layout while you're in Paperspace. And then you've got your border and your title block, draw your title block, all that stuff, then that's all there. I'm not going to get into that in this video, okay? So now I've got my viewport, and it's on the correct layer. I've got my model visible inside of the viewport, but as engineers or working in an engineering field, we want to be plotting to scale. So I'm going to pick model and get back into here, and I'm going to see in my status bar down here that my scale right now is 0.278681. That's not a very common scale out in industry. If I just use the little droppy down thing here and pop that up, actually, I can pick a scale factor, something like, where's my custom, that's not what I want, percentages. Interesting. It's giving me all of these architecturally related scales. And I'm looking for 1 to 4. So I can't see that, so what I'm going to do is pick custom, and I'm going to make a custom scale. You know what, I'm going to back out of here. I'm not going to say custom. I'm going to say 3 inches equals a foot. that is a quarter of an inch equals an inch in this case. So this is the architectural equivalent. That makes sense. I'm going to pick this, and I'm going to say, oh, well, I'm just going to cancel out of here because this is editing the drawing scales. Now what I'm going to do is pop this up and pick 3 inches equals a foot, and that sets the scale. That's exactly 3 inches equals a foot. So every 3 inches that I move is going to represent 1 foot in the real world. So if we remember that this is 20 by 20, okay, if I moved 3 inches along here, that's going to be representative or representative of 1 foot, 3 inches on the paper. Remember, this whole paper is only 11 inches across. So about that far is maybe 12 inches. Okay, so that's the definition of scaling. We know scaling. The next thing I want to do is, now that I've got that to scale and I've got it centered or where I want it on the paper, what I'm going to do is lock my viewport. And now I can't roll the wheel and accidentally screw up the scale factor. So we locked it in using this, and then we truly locked it in using that. And now whenever I roll the wheel, I'm really making the paper bigger and smaller on the screen, not making the model bigger and smaller inside the viewport. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to paper space. Okay. While I'm out here, I'm going to double click the wheel to make it as big as it can be on the paper. Okay. And then last couple of things I want to do in this video, I want to right click. I'm ready to print right now. Okay. Yeah, I should have a title block and all that, but that's beyond the scope of the video. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say plot or print, and up comes this printing dialog box. And what I'm going to do is switch printers, because not everybody's got this printer, but everybody has the ability to print to a PDF format, portable document format. I'm going to pick this, and that's my printer. And that, it's just going to really create a PDF file. And here's my paper size. There's all my different possible paper sizes. I'm going to leave it at ANSI full bleed A size, and I like to preview. And there's what my paper is going to look like. It doesn't give me the actual edge of the paper, but that's what I'm going to see when I were to plot this drawing. I'm going to right click and exit out of here, and there's my dialog box. I'm going to we'll talk about other items in this dialog box in the next video, just to clarify some of this stuff a little bit better before we actually do the print. So I'm going to cancel for right now, and then we'll revisit this dialog box in the next video.